Welcome Fanny investors. In today's video, we will delve into the fascinating era known as the Gilded Age, a period of rapid economic growth in the United States between 1865 and 1900. It was during this time that a group of visionary industrialists emerged, transforming the nation into an industrial powerhouse. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, please do, so that you don't miss out on any of the videos we post. In this video, we will explore the lives and legacies of iconic figures such as Cornelius Vanderbilt, John D. Rockefeller, and Andrew Carnegie, who became known as the robber barons, or captains of industry. Join us as we unravel their impact on America's economic landscape and examine the controversies surrounding their rise to power. The Gilded Age, a time of prosperity. During the Gilded Age, spanning from 1865 to 1900, the United States experienced a remarkable period of economic growth and prosperity. The term, Gilded Age, was coined by Mark Twain, reflecting the outward appearance of opulence and wealth that masked underlying social issues. Industrialization played a pivotal role in driving this prosperity, as it led to significant advancements in various sectors of the economy. One of the key factors contributing to this economic boom was the expansion of railroads. The development of an extensive railroad network connected previously isolated regions, facilitating the movement of goods and people across the country. This expansion not only boosted trade and commerce but also opened up vast lands for commercial farming, creating new opportunities for agricultural growth and prosperity. The surge in industrialization also led to soaring real wages and increased wealth for many Americans. As industries flourished, demand for labor increased, attracting millions of European immigrants seeking better opportunities in the U.S. This influx of immigrants not only contributed to the workforce but also added diversity to American society and culture. As the nation's economy grew, so did its gross domestic product, GDP, and capital formation. The rapid expansion of industries, such as steel, oil, and railroads, fueled economic output, leading to higher GDP figures and increased capital investment in new ventures and innovations. However, beneath this veneer of prosperity, there were deep-rooted social and economic issues. The wealth accumulation was heavily concentrated among a few industrialists, giving rise to significant income inequality. Labor conditions in many industries were often harsh, with long working hours and low wages for the workers, while business tycoons enjoyed immense fortunes. Despite the controversies and challenges, there is no denying that the Gilded Age was a time of immense economic growth and transformation. The legacy of this period, along with the industrialists who played a crucial role, continues to influence American society and its approach to business and economics to this day. Vanderbilt, the railroad titan. We begin with Cornelius Vanderbilt, a legendary figure in the railroad industry. From humble beginnings, he built a shipping empire and eventually turned his attention to railroads. Vanderbilt's strategic thinking and determination allowed him to take control of major rail companies, eventually becoming one of the wealthiest men in America. The story of Cornelius Vanderbilt is the tale of a true titan in the railroad industry. Starting from modest beginnings, he ventured into the shipping business and achieved remarkable success. However, Vanderbilt's ambitions knew no bounds, and he set his sights on an even grander venture, railroads. With a keen sense of strategy and an unwavering determination, Vanderbilt executed his plans meticulously. He began by acquiring significant stakes in various rail companies, gradually gaining control over them. His shrewd business tactics and bold moves helped him to outmaneuver his competitors, and he quickly emerged as a dominant force in the railroad industry. Rockefeller, the oil magnate. Next, we delve into the life of John D. Rockefeller, the pioneer of the oil industry. His Standard Oil Company revolutionized oil production and distribution, making kerosene affordable and sparking urbanization. Rockefeller's relentless pursuit of efficiency and integration shaped the modern oil industry, making him one of the richest men in history. One of Rockefeller's most significant contributions was making kerosene, a vital source of lighting during that era, affordable to the masses. This innovation had a profound impact on society, as it sparked urbanization and improved the quality of life for countless people. Rockefeller's relentless pursuit of efficiency and his visionary approach to integration set new standards for the oil industry. He understood the importance of controlling every aspect of the oil business, from extraction to refining and distribution, which allowed him to exercise unprecedented influence and control over the market. Carnegie, the steel innovator. Our exploration then leads to Andrew Carnegie, whose journey from poverty to immense wealth is a testament to the American dream. Carnegie's innovations in the steel industry, coupled with his vertical integration strategies, transformed America's infrastructure and laid the foundation for modern cities through the construction of skyscrapers. Carnegie's impact on the steel industry was revolutionary. Through his innovative techniques and forward-thinking approach, he played a pivotal role in transforming the production and use of steel. His vision and business acumen led to significant advancements in the manufacturing process, making steel more affordable and readily available for various applications. One of Carnegie's key strategies was vertical integration, a concept that he masterfully employed in his steel business. By owning and controlling every stage of the steel production process, from raw materials to manufacturing to distribution, he achieved unprecedented efficiency and competitiveness. This not only solidified his dominance in the industry but also laid the groundwork for the construction of modern cities with the use of steel in skyscrapers and other infrastructure. The steel innovations driven by Andrew Carnegie had a profound impact on the United States' growth and development. His influence extended far beyond the steel industry, as his philanthropic endeavors aimed at promoting education and culture continue to leave a legacy. Carnegie's dedication to giving back to society and his belief in the gospel of wealth led to the establishment of numerous libraries, schools, and cultural institutions that enriched communities and empowered future generations. The Clash of the Titans. During the Gilded Age, the titans of industries were not isolated entities. Their lives and businesses were deeply interconnected, and they often found themselves entangled in fierce fights with one another. These battles for dominance were driven by their ambition to control markets, accumulate wealth, and expand their business empires. Because Standard Oil was the only company in the industry willing to guarantee a uniform quality of kerosene. Vanderbilt, of course, wanted to meet this young man, as the location of Rockefeller's refinery in Cleveland meant that Standard Oil might be a good freight customer for Vanderbilt's railroads. An exclusive deal with Rockefeller would mean Vanderbilt's trains could run at full capacity. When they met, Rockefeller negotiated an unheard-of 30% discount on rail transportation but agreed to ship more oil than he was producing at the time of the deal. Rockefeller had to scramble to increase the size of his operations so that he could fulfill his side of the bargain. It turned out that if there was one thing Rockefeller was good at, it was growing the size of his business. Having struck this deal, Rockefeller now had several very real competitive advantages. He was selling a high-quality branded product that customers trusted and was in high demand. Additionally, he had more efficient operations and lower transportation costs than anyone else in the industry. He could produce a better product than his competitors and undercut them in price. He quickly set about buying up every competitor he could. Rockefeller would buy out the least efficient competing refiners and then either improve the efficiency of their operations or just shut down the refineries altogether. He would push for discounts on oil shipments, undercut his competition, and make all sorts of secret deals to get any advantage he could in business. In less than 4 months in 1872, in what was later known as the Cleveland Massacre, Standard Oil absorbed 22 of its 26 Cleveland competitors. Standard Oil rapidly became the largest producer of refined kerosene in the United States, and his deal with Vanderbilt meant that he could ship his product to homes throughout the country at incredibly cheap rates. Rockefeller's efforts made him rich, but they also brought American consumers cheaper kerosene and other oil byproducts than had been available before. Before 1870, oil light something only the wealthy could afford. Over the following decade, kerosene became commonly available to the working and middle classes. The availability of affordable lighting provided many benefits to the country. It helped reduce crime after sundown. It extended the workday, making American businesses more productive than before, and it allowed average people to read and educate themselves during the evenings, which had never previously been possible. Over time, Rockefeller found himself producing more oil than Vanderbilt could transport. He had outgrown his deal. Vanderbilt's biggest competitor was a man named Thomas Scott, the president of the Pennsylvania Railroad Company. Scott, along with his protege, a young Scotsman named Andrew Carnegie, offered Rockefeller a better transportation deal than he could ever have gotten from Vanderbilt. To Vanderbilt's great frustration, Rockefeller began skillfully playing the railroads against each other, negotiating lower and lower transportation prices. With the railroads under his thumb, Rockefeller could supply every home in the nation with kerosene. And with all that profit, Rockefeller began vertically integrating his business, buying up oil wells, equipment makers, the entire oil industry. At the age of 33, John D. Rockefeller was now the most powerful man in the country. Vanderbilt and Scott realized, maybe a bit too late, that together they had possibly created a monster. They decided that the only way to combat Rockefeller was for the railroads to start working together and fixing prices. They decided to cooperate with each other and pull all of Rockefeller's cheap transportation deals. To Rockefeller, this is an absolute declaration of war, and he wasn't going to let the railroads beat him with a dirty trick like that. In the refineries, oil was moved around over short distances using large pipes that Rockefeller had hired his own plumbers to build rather than pay a markup on. Rockefeller realized that if those pipes could transport oil over short distances, they could possibly also transport oil over longer distances. If Rockefeller could build a pipeline large enough, he would be able to cut the railroads out of the oil business altogether. Now, oil pipelines had been attempted before, but they always failed as the oil wouldn't flow if the pipe was not airtight, and this was not an easy problem to solve. Additionally, lots of pumping stations would need to be built along the pipeline to keep it flowing. Stitching together hundreds of pieces of metal, with no air leaks, and numerous pumping stations seemed an impossible task. Nonetheless, Rockefeller hired the best and smartest people to solve this problem, and his workers began to work around the clock, laying over 1.5 miles of pipeline every day. By the time Rockefeller's pipeline was finished, it was over 4,000 miles long and it connected thousands of the world's most lucrative oil wells directly into Rockefeller's refineries. He had brought an end to the influence of railroads on the oil business and revolutionized the way energy products are transported. Now, Thomas Scott still controlled the railway to Pittsburgh, where Rockefeller's pipelines didn't yet reach. The two men, who by this point hated each other, were unable to come to terms on transportation costs. Rockefeller, unwilling to give an inch, shut down his refineries in Pittsburgh. This move cost Rockefeller a fortune, but it destroyed the Pennsylvania Railroad Company. Scott was forced to lay off tens of thousands of workers and to drastically cut wages in order to stay in business at all. Railroad workers reacted to the cuts by going on strike and rioting in Pittsburgh. The city was the epicenter of the worst violence in the nation during the Great Railroad Strike of 1877. More than 39 buildings and over 1,000 train cars were destroyed in the violence, and Thomas Scott's company was ruined. For 25 years, railroads had been the biggest industry in the United States, and anyone who could raise money had done so and had started laying tracks. Rockefeller's oil had made up nearly 40% of the cargo shipped on the rails, and now it was suddenly transitioning to pipelines. There had been a huge railroad investment bubble, and now there was huge overcapacity. Losing cargo meant losing money. Railroad companies began going bankrupt. Vanderbilt was well capitalized and was able to make it through the industry collapse. He died in 1877, with an estimated net worth of $105 million. Scott died a year later in 1878 with his business in ruins. The Depression lasted until 1879, and by the time it was over, 1/3 of the country's railroad companies had gone bankrupt. The railroad-based economy of the United States had been overtaken by the oil boom. The controversy of the robber barons. The immense wealth and power accumulated by the industrialists during the Gilded Age came with a price, intense scrutiny and criticism. These business tycoons, often referred to as robber barons, faced widespread controversies surrounding their business practices and the societal impact of their actions. One of the major issues that stirred criticism was the monopolistic practices employed by these industrialists. As they expanded their businesses and acquired competitors, they created monopolies or trusts that controlled a significant portion of the market. This concentration of power allowed them to manipulate prices, stifle competition, and exert undue influence over the economy and politics. Another contentious point of debate was the labor conditions within their industries. While the Gilded Age was a time of prosperity for many, the working class often experienced harsh and unsafe conditions. Long working hours, low wages, lack of job security, and limited workers' rights were common in many industries dominated by these magnates. This led to widespread labor unrest and strikes as workers fought for better working conditions and fair treatment. The immense wealth accumulated by the robber barons also raised concerns about income inequality and its impact on society. As a small group of individuals amassed vast fortunes, a significant portion of the population struggled with poverty and limited access to basic necessities. This wealth disparity fueled social tensions and contributed to the perception that the economic system was rigged in favor of the wealthy elite. In response to mounting public pressure and the controversies surrounding their actions, some of these industrialists engaged in philanthropic endeavors. Figures like Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller established charitable foundations and donated large sums of money to various causes, including education, arts, and public welfare. However, while their philanthropy undoubtedly had positive impacts, critics argued that it was not enough to offset the negative consequences of their business practices. As the Gilded Age ended, the government took measures to curtail monopolistic practices, leading to the dissolution of Standard Oil and the breaking up of other major trusts. The Gilded Age industrialists were undeniably instrumental in propelling the United States to unparalleled prosperity. Their stories are a mix of ambition, innovation, and controversy, leaving a profound and complex legacy that still shapes our world today. We finally at the end of our video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications, so that you do not miss any video.